What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the World of Golden Sun, where we will be profiling another Pokemon deck like normal. Those of you who may have been sneaky enough or timely enough to see the first video I posted of this profile of this deck before taking it down, pointed out something very obvious, that I forgot to include Korrinas in this list when I was putting it together, and so massive brain fart on my part, so I have redone the list so that you guys can see it properly as to what I would remove as well, so that you don't just have to be like, ask me like, hey, we'll put these in somewhere, but what do I take out? Well, so I just went ahead, scrapped it, and just redid it. So anyway, for those of you who didn't see, we were looking at a fighting Crobat deck that is Phantom Forces format, as regionals are set to begin this weekend, apparently. I'll be competing on the weekend of Valentine's Day at the request of my wife, who urged me to go to the tournament, despite the fact that I wasn't going to because it was on Valentine's Day weekend. She told me, go ahead, go. Like, you're close to your invite, go. So, I'll be in St. Louis that weekend for regionals. But one of the big decks that's gotten popular recently is fighting in Crobat, as I said, and we're going to take a look at that. So fighting type attackers to start, Paralandis, Paralucarios. Landy's a superior attacker, but Seismitoad has also gotten very popular, and the idea that it can attach a Muscle Band and Quaking Punch for a double colorless for 100 damage and as a splashable attacker is kind of sick. Now, Toad players can usually just play the weakness game with this because they can use Mewtwo to hit Lucario. Fortunately, they usually don't run too many Mewtwo's in comparison to how many Toads they play, so that plus Corkscrew Smash's ability to draw up our hand, kind of works nicely together given the fact that we don't play quite as many draw supporters as some of the decks in the format, so we kind of got ways around that. Of course, Land's Judgment or even Somersault Kick can set up a big game-ending knockout. And of course, there's always Hammerhead and Missile Jab just for quick damage. Both really good in their own way and just all around. These bad boys also all have 180, so eat your heart out, Dialga. You're gonna have to two-shot me. They also got a pair of Hawluchas, one of the most ridiculous attackers in the game, in my opinion. I know he's not really gonna one-shot anything, unless they're weak to fighting and there's a Garbodor out, but seeing as how we don't run Garbodor because that would hurt this deck, he's not gonna one-shot anything. But 60 damage for one fighting, which can be boosted by Strong Energy, Muscle Band, Silver Bangle if you really wanted to run it, which we don't, or I don't at least in this deck. Fighting Stadium, all this stuff, you can just jack this damage way up. It's not unrealistic to get 120 damage out of this thing on the first turn. Realistically, you get the 80 to 100, you can two-shot most big EXs, I mean, even if it's only 80 the first time, you can jack it up to 100 the second round or whatever. Like, it's so easy to two-shot stuff with a little one-prize Pokemon that needs one energy only. And, he's also got Free Retreat, and for a little 70 HP thing, he's actually rather annoying to try and one-shot for a lot of those decks. Toads, I know, need to get their full setup with a Muscle Band, a Laser, and a Verbank to get that OHKO. And, he's also resistant to his own type, so if you go up against, like, Donphan or another fighting deck, you can just sit him up in the active slot, and, he'll take less damage from Landorus. And, of course, other Hawluchas can't touch him. So, one thing to beware of is Safeguarders, because our only non-EX attacker, quote-unquote, as far as these guys go anyway, cannot touch them. And, of course, these guys can't because they're EXs. But that is why we have other support Pokemon who also happen to fill out this lineup rather well. A lot of heavy hitters and also bench damage, courtesy of Landorus. So we run 4 Zubats, 4 Golbats, and I only play 3 Crobats because most of the time you're not going to get all 4 of them out, and we do play a trump card in here to get that stuff back. In case we like Sycamore evolutions away early or whatever else. So when you lay Golbat down to evolve your Zubat, you get to place 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon, and then when you evolve Golbat into Crobat, you get to place 3 more damage counters, again, on any one of your opponent's Pokemon. And then his attack is also a snipe for 30. Golbat's attack is 10 damage to everything across your opponent's board. Both 1 colorless energy, so a simple basic fighting energy can fulfill that energy cost. And they all have free retreat if you go into Zubat's ability, which says that if he has no energy on it, he can retreat for free. And that would be Aurora playing with her doggy dish. Aurora! Come on. Sorry about that, folks. Anyway. So, yeah, this is really, you just kind of evolve up your Crobat line. You can use the attacks of Golbat and Crobat if you really need to. It's also your way around Safeguard. And then just that kind of goes along with the heavy hitting and the sniping that you get from your fighting types. So, you know, it might seem a little unorthodox, but I've played against quite a few of these decks. They are rather irritating. I personally don't like this deck, but that's not to say it isn't good, because it's very good. I've seen a lot of them do well at the City Championships, and now, of course, we'll know more after this weekend in regionals. But anyway, supporter lineup, 4 Sycamores as usual. If you're not playing 4 Sycamores, you better be playing 4 Junipers, just saying. 4 ends, shuffle draw, 3 Korrinas. We play a whopping 6 fighting Pokemon, but this is just a really good consistency booster, help us get the right fighting Pokemon out when we need it. They're basically the right attacker, and then get an item as well. And that will give us a lot of utility here. I also got 2 Lysanders, pretty standard. And then we got a trump card, just in case our resources are kind of gone or whatever. You know, we run into enhanced hammers or just hammers in general or any number of other things. And 1 AZ because denying prizes and reusing Crobat as its entire line is pretty good. And then we also play 3 fighting stadiums, and I'm going to do the first item card as well because it fits with the supporters. We play 4 versus Seekers to retrieve our supporters. Since we only do play 8 draw supporters in this deck, and late game you don't exactly want to be playing ends, so being able to retrieve those Professor Sycamores is kind of nice. So that is our supporter stadium and supporter retrieval line, if you will. Items, 3 Super Scoop Ups and a Scoop Up Cyclone as our ace spec. You could play Computer Search or even Dowsing. This is more just kind of niche. Again, prize denial and stuff like that. Reuse Crobat Line's abilities. 3 Ultra Balls. Just search Pokemon. Get your bats out, you know, get Zubats on the bench early. 2 switches because Landorus and Lucario have fat retreat costs and they're not fun to pay. Professor's Letter, really only so you can get energy off of Korrina's search. Kind of a little way to search out energy through another card that we already have, just adds a little bit of synergy. And then 3 Muscle Bands to jack damage up even higher, because that seems good. Make sure we get those key knockouts. And then we got 4 Strong Energies and 4 Basic Fighting. Might not seem like a lot of energy, but, you know, I mean, it's really all you need right now, I feel like. Again, we have, you know, like, Professor's Letter to search basic fighting energies out. Most of our attackers, you know, they all can run off 1 energy. And the fact that, you know, trump card, it's not the best way to retrieve energy when you consider other options, but it will get all of the ones in your discard pile back for you. That is Fighting Crobat. It's the list I've come up with as of right now and gone back through. So, just another one of the decks in the current meta. I really don't like playing against this deck, but I acknowledge it's part of the format. And if I had to pick between this and one of those old Paralyzed Lock decks, or Paralocks with, you know, Triple V, Gothlock, Trevenant, Excelgor, I'll take this any day. Yeah. Yeah, that's Fighting Crobat. I'm Heretic, and I will see you guys next time. Cheers.